Hi everyone, this is going to be a review of the Retroid Pocket Flip 2. I usually don't make these kind of videos. If you look at my channel, most of it's animation stuff, but I really love handhelds. I've been getting into them for the past couple of years. My first one was a Miyoo Mini Plus, and I love that thing. And I've been super excited for this thing to come out. So I don't usually do this kind of video, but I was excited enough about this device that I wanted to talk about it. So I just kind of wanted to show off what it was. If you're not familiar with what these are, this is an emulation handheld. So what it can do is you can load up emulators on it and ROMs and play all of your old video games that you grew up with. One time when I was moving, I sold my GameCube. You can see I like to keep my Nintendo stuff, and selling my GameCube was like a huge regret. I miss it a lot. So the fact that this came out in the GameCube color, I was like, that's cool, that's really awesome. And then it got even better when I saw when you opened it up, it had the GameCube colors on it, including the yellow joystick. It was really neat. So I've been excited for this thing for a long time. I've got this all set up. I unboxed it a couple days ago, and I've been taking a couple of days just to set it up. So it runs Android, so I have it running Emulation Station, which is a front end that makes it look a little bit more like a video game system. So if I go back home, you can see it's literally just running like a phone. And I usually don't like that. I am not a huge fan of how this looks, how the UI looks when you like adjust the volume. It looks like, you know, the phone volume adjuster. I don't care for Android devices usually. You know, if you put a front end on it, those parts of it, those aspects of it kind of fade into the background. I kind of wanted to talk about the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly about this device, since having it for a couple of days. It's not enough to form a huge full opinion, but I've had a couple of days playing around with it, and the too long didn't read of it is I am kind of crazy about this thing. It's so much fun to play. I really enjoy picking it up. It's actually smaller than I thought it would be, which is a good thing because it makes it super portable. I don't know if I'll keep this lanyard on it. It's just like something that you could add as an extra thing. I thought, why not? But yeah, I really like this device. So first off, the good about it is the build quality feels pretty good to me. To me, like the hinge and everything, you know, I'm not worried about the hinge breaking. The hinge feels fine to me. All the buttons work, all the buttons and everything, you know, feel tactile and fine. The case of it, you know, it's plastic. It feels like a game system. The triggers are analog as well, so they have some travel to them, which is really useful for GameCube games. The size of the screen is just perfect for playing in bed or, you know, traveling around. It's not too big like the Steam Deck, and it doesn't feel too small for the screen. It's 1920 by 1080. Just super high def, really nice OLED screen. One thing about this old device that I always hated is the rumble motor on it. Every time you turn it on, it's got like this phone motor in it. It goes "Ree," and I hated it every time it would turn on, or anytime like a game had rumble in it, just "Ree, ree." So I was really worried that this device would have the same thing, and I'm glad to tell you it does not. It actually has a very good haptic feedback kind of motor in it. It feels like high quality. This is also a touchscreen, by the way. Another thing I don't really like with the Android thing, I don't like smudging up the screen, and you have to do that sometimes. Like when you power down the device, as far as I know, there's no way to push a button to turn it off. I literally have to take my finger and push that power off button. I don't like that. But yeah, more good about this is the controls. The controls have felt super great. These joysticks are really tiny. In fact, I want to show how tiny they are. Let me grab something really quick. So this is a dime. A dime is larger than these joysticks. They're super tiny. It's kind of hard to tell that in the renders of this device, but yeah, they're very small. That's not a bad thing though. Like playing through it, it doesn't feel like uncomfortably small because they have really good travel on them. They've got these really deep wells that give it a lot of range of movement. Aren't these LED lights cool? They're so unnecessary, but I kind of like them. But yeah, the controls for it are great. Another really good thing about this has been the GameCube and PS2 performance. Sometimes there's a little bit of stuttering, but you can bring up your options if you drag down from the top. You can set the performance mode to be high performance. I haven't done that just standard has been fine for me, and that's run every GameCube game I've tried so far, which hasn't been a ton because I haven't had this device that long. But yeah, you can turn up the performance if you need to, but just on standard performance, it's been fine for all the GameCube games I've been playing on it. And it doesn't get warm either, playing through GameCube. I noticed it getting pretty warm playing through PlayStation 2 games. I did notice it kind of heating up a little bit, so again, if you go down into your options, you can adjust the fan here. So I have it on smart mode, but if you're running a pretty intensive game, you can set it to sport mode. And that fan's pretty audible, but to me, it's not too loud. I think if you were playing in a really quiet room, it'd be a little bit annoying, but if I put it up to the microphone without my noise canceling, just so you can hear it, hopefully that's an accurate representation of how loud the fan can get. It's not bad at all to me. Some really great things about this are the screen. The screen is honestly like my favorite part of this device, especially playing like older games like NES games where they have black for the backgrounds, or like UFO 50 has been amazing looking on this device. Like playing UFO 50 through the Steam Link. Oh, it looks so good, man. It looks so cool. When you're playing it in bed, which is usually when I do most of my gaming, it just looks like the sprites are just floating in the air against the black background with the OLED screen. It's super cool. The size is just right. I think it's super immersive playing on this thing. Super vibrant, really saturated, really good colors. I dig the screen a lot. Another great thing about it, like I mentioned before, was just the size of it. This is not that big. If I were to take my phone and just compare it, my phone is actually taller than the device and, not that much more narrow. It is a thick boy, though. It's a little bit of a thick boy, so I wouldn't call it a pocketable device. You can carry it in your pocket, but I don't know how comfortable that would be. This is more of a throw it in the bag, and another nice thing about it being a clamshell is I'm not too worried about tossing it into a bag somewhere. Another really great thing about this has been the battery life. All I do is just flip down the screen and it goes into sleep mode, and it does not use very much battery, as long as you close out the emulators before you do that. I learned on this device, which was also an Android device, that if you leave an emulator running, like a GameCube emulator, that's going to use up a lot of battery. So you want to make sure to exit out of any games before closing the screen if you're going to put it away for the night. But if you do that, I wake up and it's probably only used like 2%, maybe 3% of the battery overnight. Really good efficiency with the battery. I've been really happy with that. Let's talk about some things I'm not as stoked about this device. First off is the arrangements of these buttons. So the home button, a little bit confusing. This is actually a combined home and back button. So you push it once to use your back button, which is really useful in a lot of Android native emulators like Dolphin. And if you want to go to the home screen of your Android device, you just hold this instead of pushing it once, and it'll go into the home screen. The reason I don't like this layout is because to me, the bigger button seems like it should be the one that you're going to use the most often, which to me is the back button. And I also don't like that they're in the middle. When I'm playing in the dark and I can't see these buttons, the move I have to do is like feel for the select button and be like, okay, that's the select button. Move over. Okay, that's the right button. I've gotten used to it now, but I was pushing this button, this bigger button, all the time instead of the back button. That's something you get used to. It's pretty nitpicky, honestly. But yeah. Another thing that I've noticed on my device, this right trigger is a little bit sticky. This is not going to be possible to show on screen probably, but on this shoulder button, I push down and it freely moves just fine, no problem. But on this one, it feels like it's sticking to something a little bit. So I'm pushing down and I can feel just the slightest bit of resistance before it pops a little bit. It's pretty nitpicky, and honestly, like, I'll probably just clean it out or something. Maybe there's something in there, or it'll wear in over time. It's honestly, like, it's not bad. I'm just pointing it out because I noticed it while playing some games. Another thing I'm not a crazy huge fan of is the volume of these buttons. This seems like a nitpick sometimes, but it's really not. If you're playing, I was playing Bully on this game just to test it out, and there's some QuickTime events where you have to mash a button, and it was louder than the game. That's me just mashing on one of the buttons the way I would in a video game, and to me, it's a little bit louder than I wish. This is a mid-level device, so, these are nitpicks, but it is something that I definitely noticed while playing games, is how loud these buttons are. They kind of have a little bit of a thunk to them. Oops, I opened a game. You can kind of control it if you're playing through a game and, you're a bit more methodical with pushing the button. you know, it's not bad. It's really only when you're mashing games, so maybe on fighting games or something is where I'd notice it. I was saying that I was pretty happy with the hinge. I'm not worried about it breaking or anything. But one thing I kind of noticed is the force that it comes down when you close it, like it takes a considerable amount of pressure, which I think is a good thing, so it's not floppy, but when it closes, like usually I'll hold it like this, and if I close it with my fingers, it's that's a loud thwack. I don't like that sound. That's pretty loud. So usually what I've been doing is I've been kind of just like easing it closed a little bit. I have my old RG35XXSP here. Hinge on this is just right, dude. That feels so nice when it closes. And opening too is just, it's super smooth. Here, I'll do this thwack against the microphone. Nice soft thwack. And then with this one, there's a little bit more force. It's not like as smooth to open. It kind of pops open, then locks into place. And then when you close it, it's just like a hollow plastic, a little bit too loud. So yeah, I don't like closing it. It's probably more the noise than anything. I think the screen and everything should probably be fine closing it that way. But yeah, just because I don't like the noise, usually I'll just ease it down myself. A little bit extra effort, not a huge deal. I already talked about it at length, but one bad thing about this device that I mentioned before was did you see? I tried going into the home screen. I pushed the power button instead. But the Android operating system, I am not a fan of. This doesn't feel like a game system to me, looking at this screen. This feels like a phone. Like I said, you can get front ends to run it, so it kind of takes this interface away a little bit. But for little things like needing to adjust the brightness, you know, you got to swipe down with your finger, swipe down again, and then you gotta swipe with your finger. This screams that it's a phone. You know, I don't like this interface. I wish you could do all this stuff with buttons, like on some other handheld emulators I have, you know? Not a fan of the touchscreen, and setting up an Android device, it takes a long time because all of these emulators here, you got to download them on your own. There's like just a bunch to download and you set up each one individually. It takes a lot of time and it's a lot of work and you got to know what you're doing. Huge shout outs to Russ from Retro Game Core and his guide being super duper helpful with setting this thing up. That helps a lot, is having someone kind of walk you through it. But you know, once you get it all set up and you put all that stuff in the background, then it's fine. I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's really just the setup part of it is the not fun part. The nice thing about Android though is it makes a lot of stuff super easy. Like if you wanted to do screencasting to a TV, or you know, if you wanted to connect Bluetooth. So yeah, Android has its perks as well. For how cool this device is, happy to ignore it. Not a huge deal once it's all set up. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about, the ugly part of this handheld, is this fucking design right here. Like, listen, look. This one, this old device, look how there's like no billboarding on it. On the back of the device, it's just nice and plain, smooth plastic. This looks like a video game system. Even my 3DS, you know, it's got this galaxy pattern, but it's flat, you know, there's nothing to it. On the back, there's like very subtle like Nintendo billboarding. I hate this design. It's so ugly. I've learned to live with it because I look at it mostly like this. And honestly, when I'm not using the device, I don't want to look at this. So I've just been keeping it open and like putting it on a rest on my desk and just having it be open and like this, you know. This is nice. I like looking at this. I like looking at you. I don't like looking at you anymore. I've heard a couple people say it's a thief deterrent, because it does. It makes it look like a cheap piece of shit, you know? So maybe that's okay. Maybe that's a benefit of it. Same with like these lines back here. I'm not a fan of billboarding. You know, this Retroid logo, that's fine. That doesn't bother me too much. But yeah, it would have looked so much nicer if it had just a flat panel on the front, or even just like a subtle Retroid logo. You know, it is what it is. Again, it's like the Android thing. It's like, I'm willing to put up with that because I really like playing with this device a lot. You know, I think it's a great device. I'd highly recommend it. Like I said, I've only had it for a couple of days, so no long-term feelings about it other than I'm really liking it a lot. I think the screen is beautiful. It's worth it for the screen. If I could summarize it in one point, it would be this thing is worth it for the screen. It's really pretty, and it feels silly to say, but I was playing some of my old games that I grew up with and got a little bit emotional. It was like looking at them all brand new again. It was super fucking special. It was really cool. Anyways, those are just my thoughts on the Retroid Pocket Flip 2. Do you plan on getting one? What do you think about these devices? Would you get something else? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Again, I never make these kind of videos, so don't follow me thinking I'm going to make any more. This is just a one-time thing. Anyways, thanks. Bye!